Okay, the final film I'm reviewing this week is called The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, and this is, of course, trilogy continuing of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and so on and so forth. And this one is definitely the weakest of them all. This one really is depleted, torn out, and this is just a dull hashing of a more compelling, I guess you could say, backstory that the first two films had. And of course, you know, the chemistry of the two lead characters, Elizabeth and Michael. Of course, Elizabeth being played by Numi Rapace, who does a really good job. Again, here, as we pick up now, she's awaiting trial for 3 murders, and of course, Michael now has to clear her or whatever. And the movie just goes for it. The chemistry is completely devoid here. And again, when I saw The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I was just engaged in what this film did. But when The Girl Who Played with Fire came out, it was less engaging but still very good in continuing this story. I was hoping this would kind of bring it back to the first one. It did not. And I'm just thinking to myself, if this is the trilogy, this is just not a good way to cap it off. I mean, as far as trilogies go, I find, usually the third one is the stronger when you look at films like Return of the Jedi with Star Wars, and even though I prefer The Empire Strikes Back, but still Return of the Jedi was a great way to finish off. Even the modern Star Wars series, Revenge of the Sith, is the only one of the modern Star Wars films that I recommended. And again, Lord of the Rings, the final one, Return of the King, was the best one of that series, and all 3 films were fantastic. But again, I'm not putting this in the level of those films in terms of their epic, proportions and box office glorification. I'm just saying trilogies that are, meant to be trilogies. This film just does not give it the justice it deserves. And I'm not familiar with the whole, I just, get what I get from my notes, things that I look up. And and I look up, what the movies are based on or whatever. I don't know if there's another story after this one. I'm not too sure. I was even confused with the Bourne series for a while. I didn't know if there was another one or whatnot. Yeah, I hope there is. I hope there is another one after this. If not, this is the end of it. If this is just a trilogy, then there's not a good way to end it. Again, this movie is just completely devoid of anything that the first 2 films had. Despite good performances still from the 2 leads, I could not get into it as a story. It just seemed to be, it just sucked out everything what made the first 2 films so good, especially the first one, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It sucked everything right out. Now, of course, we have the American remakes coming pretty soon. But again, I just don't know how that's going to be. I mean, if they do remake into an American version, I hope that they do a better job with this film than they did with the first, with this version here. That's all I really ask. Because, if the first 2, okay, I know I'm getting confused now, but if the first 2 of the American film aren't as good as the first 2 of the European one here, fine, whatever. It's the first 2 of the European one were good enough. All I ask is that the American versions of the third one be better than this. Because, let's face it, people, this one wasn't happening, and I think fans will be very disappointed. At least that's what the general consensus seems. So as much as I hate to do it, I give The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest only 2 stars out of 5, and that is it for this week's edition of Bill Chase the Movies. But I will be back more next week with Due Date, the new comedy starring Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover. 127 Hours, directed by Oscar-winning director Danny Boyle, who of course won his Oscar for Slumdog Millionaire, and also directed Trainspotting, and it'll star James Franco. The new animated feature, Megamind, featuring the voice talent of Will Ferrell. For Colored Girls, a new movie directed by Tyler Perry, and a new thriller, Fair Game. That is it for this week's show. Until next week, join the Facebook group, Bill Chase the Movies, as it's written. And also, give me feedback, comment, send me your email, whatever. Just tell me I suck. It's okay. I'm used to hearing that all the time. But yeah, just send me the feedback and I'll be happy to respond to it. So until next week, I am Bill Chase, and I will be at the movies. Goodbye, everybody.